Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream today. Looks like there's people already here lining up in the chat. I hope everybody's having a good Friday. Looks like there's already a tough crowd. I'm talking about liking the video already. Yeah, so definitely like it if you like it. Thumbs it down if you don't. No big deal. But anyway, so today what we're going to be doing is casting some grapevine. So I got some sent in and it's pretty cool stuff. Tom and Charlotte, I think they have some on their property, I guess. I think they own some and they sent some in to play with. So let me switch camera views real quick and I'll kind of show you what's going on here. There's nothing happening yet. I put these guys in the oven to kind of get them started to kind of warm up. Let's get this camera working here. So a lot of people, when I posted, I posted a pic of the grapevine. And a lot of people were like, oh, you need to get a California Raisin. So I did. I found one on Amazon. I actually found a set of them, but this guy seemed like the best. He was a little bit shorter, and I love his boom box. So that's what we're going to be going with today. And what I did, I stabilized this stuff and I added some dye. Now this one, all I did was I just kind of dunked it in there. I didn't do the full vacuum on this purple one. And then on this one, it was red. I think that, I'm not sure that the grapevine really takes the dye as easily as other things like maple burl and buckeye burl. So probably, I think what I would probably recommend if anybody wants to try this stuff, if you get grapevine and you want to add color, I would probably load it up with as much dye in the mixture as possible. I think I just kind of went with the standard 1 ounce per gallon kind of ratio. And it wasn't as, it's obviously not super red. It's kind of pinkish. So I'm not sure exactly. I haven't done a whole lot with it, but I thought that it would be pretty cool. And we're going to be making a sphere blank out of this. I thought I haven't done one for a while. Should be pretty fun to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a nod from good old Doug over at Pole Barn and just use a bucket as the mold. I figured this would be easy. It's going to be really easy to demold. And this stuff will just kind of wedge in there pretty well. It'll fit, pretty nicely. A lot of times when I'm making a sphere blank to kind of save resin and make things a little bit easier, I'll just go with a 6-inch PVC pipe or, whatever size PVC pipe. The problem I have with that in this case is I'm going to have to cut the pieces down, the pieces of grapevine down and have them fit. And it really wasn't what I wanted. This will make things kind of sit the way that I want them to. And so I decided the bucket, and like I said, the demolding and everything and gluing them in place and all that stuff should go easier. And so what I was thinking was, obviously we don't want to cut away our California Raisin guy, so he's just going to kind of hang out in the middle. I have a picture. I was playing with the arrangement of this stuff a couple days ago. I think it might have been like this, something like that. And I was just going to put him kind of right in the middle. And I'm going to glue him down and he'll just be kind of standing there. That way we have no chance of cutting into him. That's the thing. He's like a rubber kind of material. I'm not sure what type of material he is, but he's definitely not going to be a great bond with the resin probably. And you definitely don't want to cut into him because you want him in the piece. So that's what we're going to be doing today. It's going to be another big pour. I think I'm going to have to start making some more pen blanks on the show. Resin does get expensive, but it should be pretty fun. And I haven't done a sphere for a while. I've only done a handful of them, probably not even 5, honestly. So it'll be a kind of a fun, little project. I'm just going to go with a clear resin. I don't really want to put anything in it, I don't think. Just kind of go for simple. It's already got, quite a bit going on the inside. And so it's just a matter of basically, getting our little pieces arranged in the mold the way we want it. I'm going to use hot glue for that. I am going to cover the little California Raisin guy with some 5-minute epoxy. I figured, like I said, I don't know how well it's going to bond with the Alumilite resin. So rather than what can sometimes happen when you put weird kind of random materials in there, sometimes it won't really bond and there's kind of this weird kind of bubbly effect on the outside of it. So I'm thinking if I just coat him in 5-minute epoxy, maybe we can kind of not have any problems basically. So that's what my plan of attack is going to be. I'm going to pop those pieces of wood or the grapevine back into the oven and just keep them warm the whole time while we're kind of getting everything set up. And I think that's about it. Like I said, it's going to be a big pour, guys. It's going to be pretty fun. So there's one other little announcement that I wanted to make, and then I'll kind of stop and just catch up with the chat. So I don't know if you guys saw, if you guys aren't familiar with Chad Schimmel, he runs Turner's Warehouse. He's doing a charity event in conjunction with St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And basically what it is you make it, I think that it has to be like some part of this thing has to be turned, but you're going to make an ornament, a Christmas ornament, or whatever. Make an ornament and then send it to Chad down in at Turner's Warehouse. And then what they're going to do is they're going to auction off all the ornaments and then donate all the proceeds to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And there's a couple of like very simple rules, like it has to have a loop to be able to hang on a tree, like simple stuff like that. Some part of it needs to be turned, but pretty much you can do whatever you want. There is a size constraint also. So like I said, very simple rules, but it's a really cool event, kind of, community thing that he's set up. And I wanted to put a link. I had to shorten it because it's a Facebook link to a video post that was like 5 years long, and actually it was literally more characters, this link, than I can actually put in the chat thing. So I did a shortened thing with a bit.ly link, but it just goes to his Facebook page that has all the information in it. So there's that, and I'll put that down in the show notes if people are watching back later and they want to go to it. So that link is going to take you to his Facebook page, the post. And like I said, it has rules listed on there. There are time, deadlines and stuff like that. I can't remember what they are. I think basically we have about 3 weeks. Like it's open like right now, and I think we have about 3 weeks to get everything, made, and you have to get it, like he has to have it in his possession by, I may be screwing this up, but I think it's the 15th of November, something like that. So anyway, a few rules. I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys because I thought it was a really cool event. And one thing that is kind of above and beyond, I think, that Chad's doing with this, I said all the proceeds are going to St. Jude's. He's even going to be paying for shipping to get the things to the people that win them at the auction. He's not going to take that out of the money at all. So like literally 100% of the proceeds are going to a good cause. And it's cool because we all get to make stuff for it. So I'm definitely going to be doing it. I'm going to make a video and post that on my YouTube channel for it. So I hope you guys do that too if you can, and then get it in there. It'll be for a good cause. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. Anyway, let's, I'm getting tired already of talking. I talk too much. Let's see here. Yeah, a lot of you guys showed up early today. Hopefully you guys are excited about the Grapevine. Let's see here. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Everybody's here, it looks like. Colin, you did like it. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I'll try not to make it too terrible for you. Amanda's from Indiana. Nice. Yeah, I always like seeing that for, where you guys are from, across the U.S., across the world. I see people from the UK joining in. It's really, I got to be honest, I think we get kind of used to the fact that we can just watch videos of anybody on the planet anywhere at any time, right? And it's kind of actually mind-boggling that, really like 10 years ago, this wasn't possible. So it's always really cool that we get people from all over the place joining in, having fun. Let's see here. Mike's here. Nice. Doug's here. What's up, man? Just checking out what's going on. Seeing you guys are always having some fun in there. Eric likes the good sphere blank. Nice. Yes. I do too. I got to be honest. I really enjoyed turning one. So I made the BB-8 sphere. This one was the first one that I ever did, and it was supposed to be hybrid. There was a piece of burl in there, but it was like a burl cap, like the really thin ones, and I turned most of it away. So if you're gonna make something like this that's like a hybrid, you really need almost like 50% needs to be wood in there. But I wanted to make sure I didn't cut away the BB-8 guy. And it turned out good. This was kind of a little bit of a disappointment, the wood part of it. But I did that one. It turned out pretty good. And I've done a couple other ones, and they're pretty fun. They're a good project. A little bit different. It's weird it's an awkward shape for me. You don't really turn that. A lot of what I do is spindles and stuff like that. And so you got to kind of it's a little bit odd at first when, you know, you start doing it, but you do a couple of them and you start to kind of get used to what, you know, how you're going to cut it. And, you know, I have tried the sphere jigs, which in theory, they should work great. I haven't found that they work too well on, just personally, I haven't gotten good results. They were kind of scary, actually. They grabbed. It was the Carter one. And I think that the thing is a pretty decent thing. It just, they had a really aggressive cutter that came with it, and that it didn't work with resin. And I kind of just said, like, whatever, I may as well just learn how to do this by hand because I think it's a little bit faster. But that is a way to do it. And I think a lot of people like the Vermec, I think, is that the name of it? Vermec sphere jig. I think a lot of people really like that one. So that might be something that works maybe a little better. But anyway, Bruce is here. How's it going, man? Let's see here. Who is old enough to know what the California Raisin was? You know, one little side note, I know that I'm just blabbing, so people that are watching this back at the replay are probably like, I don't care. But we just started, I know that I'm like, probably, I don't know when it came out, probably 2 years too late on this one or late. We started watching Stranger Things, and that show is awesome. And it has like all kinds of 80s and like, you know, early, mostly 80s things, but it reminds me of a lot of stuff growing up. And I think the California Raisins were, yeah, okay, yeah, we're talking about, I think it's an 80s thing, which they probably have that somewhere in the in Stranger Things. Let's see here. Yeah, I totally remember them. Oh, it's 90s? Yeah, whatever. Maybe late 80s. How about that? Rubber resin attract bubbles. I don't know. Like I said before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal him in epoxy, and hopefully that'll kind of make things go a little bit better. I finally got some UV resin in, a couple different ones. I actually contacted Solar Res and talked to the owner. I was a little disappointed getting information from him. I thought that it might have been a little bit more insightful, but I think I got a couple products that should be the best sort of type thing. So I'm going to try some of those things for sealing. I really like the idea of being able to paint something on and just hit it with the light and it's cured. But I had some issues with bonding the first time I tried that. So we're going to try a couple different products and see if I can get better results, because it again, in theory, it's the best way to go. You have unlimited working time with UV resin. So I could, you know, paint this California Raisin guy. I don't want to do it for this project because if it screws it up, then I'm going to be really mad because it's a lot of resin. So I'd rather go with 5-minute epoxy. It'll work fine, and I know it will. It won't have any problems, but definitely want to try that out a little bit down the road. They debuted on a Super Bowl, huh? Yeah, pretty cool. All right, so it looks like we are, yeah, Chris is in Guam. That's so cool. Thomas is from Texas. Nice. All right. So and Wisconsin. Nice. Some of the I gotta be honest. Sometimes I see state abbreviations and I'm like, oh, is that one this one or that one? Because I know the West, obviously. Just sometimes you get out kind of Midwest and the East Coast, and I'm like, which one is that? Is that Alabama or Alaska? Those two I always kind of get mixed up. All right, so what are we doing here? First thing, I'm going to get the camera kind of set up and show you guys. Oh shoot, I was supposed to put the wood back in the oven. I'm going to put the wood back in the oven for a minute. All right, so here's what we're going to do first. I'm going to clean off the California Raisin and I'm going to try this on another. I ended up buying like a pack of these things on Amazon. So if somebody wants to buy these for some reason, if you do Grapevine and want some California Raisins, I have extras and I can sell them, but they're also, I found them on Amazon. So let me switch cameras. Julie, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. That's awesome. All right, so here's our California Raisin man. First thing I want to do is I'm going to put gloves on first, and I want to clean him off. Now, you could use like a simple green, like a diluted, you know, kind of just normal like degreaser type soap type thing. I don't have that handy, and I think I'm just going to try some denatured alcohol. That should work, but I'm going to test this on not the guy that we're actually going to put in the resin, because if this takes off the dye, I don't want to do that, right? So We're going to test it on Mr. Surfboard. Actually, let's pull out the one that I don't like the most. Which one is that? I don't like this one. I don't know what is going on with his eyes, but it's really creepy, and I don't like it. So we're going to use him, and I'm just going to wipe him down a little bit and just kind of see what's going on. I'm not getting anything on the rag. This ought to work fine. So we're going to go with our guy now. Get my denatured alcohol. Got it on the little bottle here. And I'm just going to try and kind of wipe off the surface, make sure that there's no, greases or, I don't know, silicone type things or anything else that may cause issues with bonding and resin and glue, basically. All right, so this is going well. These were used. They weren't like brand new in a box or something like that. So that's another reason why, it's a good idea to clean off stuff like this. Even if it was new, it may have some kind of, stuff on the surface from the manufacturing that's kind of like non-stick. Because, he was probably cast like, how we do things somewhat. And, they got to demold it as well. So if they use some sort of a demold agent, he might be covered in something that does not want, resin to stick to it or whatever. So I think that is pretty good. I'm going to let him dry for a minute. And then, like I said, the next step, what I'm going to do is we're going to put some 5-minute epoxy on. And I'm just like whatever you have, whatever's, handy. I just got that at Home Depot. I'm also going to plug in the hot glue gun right now, just get it warmed up. And I'm going to get my iPhone out so I can try to see the chat while I'm over here without having to turn around and look at the computer. Try and kind of get this thing set well. So what's everybody up to? One thing, so I'm a big movie fan. I like sci-fi kind of action films. And so we went and saw... what is it called? Zombieland Double Tap. Oh my God. If you're into like zombie movies and you like Woody Harrelson and, the cast, Emma Stone is good too. Man, that was a great movie. It was just like the first one and I loved that one. So I highly recommend seeing that if you get out there and want to see something like that. It's, it's just a silly, I like the lighthearted types of, zombie movies. I don't like the ones that are all like super serious and crazy. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to open up the YouTube app. I think I have it open. So I can kind of keep an eye on what's going on with you guys. See if I can refresh this. There we go. Yes, I don't care about that. There we go. Okay. Nope, that's not the right way. Okay. All right, so I can kind of sort of see. It's not the greatest thing ever, but... Oh, nice. I'm glad you could make it. All right, so let's see here. We're going to add... I'm just going to kind of, mix up a little bit of this. And again, what I'm using this for is I just want to paint a layer of epoxy on the surface of this thing. So that the Alumilite isn't having to bond with it directly. I think that you're going to get, I don't know, it can just kind of seal off anything. Epoxy generally kind of will work with anything and it's going to cure, 5 minutes. It's not fully cured, but it's going to harden up and skin over and it'll be ready for casting right away. So that's all I'm doing with this is it's just something like a sealer that I'm putting on. And, you could maybe, there's other things you could probably use instead of this. But I find that 5-minute epoxy is going to be compatible with anything. I'm pretty sure that it'll be compatible. I know it's compatible with Alumilite Clear. It's going to be definitely compatible with epoxies, any epoxy. And I'm pretty sure that it should be compatible with polyester resin. So it covers the gamut of any kind of casting resin you want to put on top, it's going to work with. So... some of the other stuff, it may or may not, depending on what's going on with it. So let me get this over here so I can kind of see. You search the super chat stickers for a raisin. Nice. Did somebody super chat? Okay. Yeah, there are stickers there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with the chatting. I don't even know all the features. And one other thing that I guess I could mention, little update for Patreon members. We still want to start doing the live stream. So just to kind of let all of you guys know that are, come to the YouTube live streams and are not necessarily Patreon members, patrons of mine. We're going to be doing eventually, I'm going to roll out once a month, we're going to do a patron only live stream. And I think what I'm going to do is just swap out one of the Fridays that I usually do on just YouTube. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a heads up, a little warning about that, we're going to be doing, and it's going to be a little bit different. For the patrons, it's going to be a little bit more like a Q&A live hangout where I can kind of answer people's questions, and I'll be like it's more like I'm there to kind of help you guys out or show you something if you have a specific question. It's a smaller crowd, so I can kind of do that kind of stuff and hopefully help people out a little bit who are supporting the show. So just to let you know, that's coming up. And I think what somebody already requested a topic for that. And the topic's going to be carbon fiber tubes, like casting them for like pen blanks. So I think we're going to do that. Now, I got to be honest, I've never done that. So unfortunately, it's going to be I'll kind of be able to, it's not a big deal. I know about it, and it's not going to be that big of a deal necessarily, but we'll go over it. I do know how things work with that. And so it should be kind of fun. I'll do a little bit of a demo, and then there's also, I plan to make it where there's time for questions if people have any random questions. So like I said, I just want to put a layer of epoxy on top of this guy, try and kind of seal off the surface, I don't know. It's just kind of precautionary. When Jake did the Wolverine on the toilet, he was having some issues with bubbles and all kinds of stuff. And this is one of the things that I kind of mentioned that he should try, is to try and seal it off. That way you don't, the one thing about it, if you do run into problems, if you've sealed the thing off, then that's not the problem. It's also it helps you to diagnose things. If you can just knock out problematic things one at a time and limit however many things could cause a problem with your casting, then, take that precaution. And then, if you do run into problems, you can say, okay, well, I sealed the thing off. I mean, it shouldn't really be that. What else happened? Was it moisture? Was it, mixing? Was it, whatever else that could have been? It should help you to diagnose what actually caused a problem with a casting. So I know this is kind of boring, but necessary. Oh, my phone shut off. One thing to mention, these chip brushes, or acid brushes or whatever they call them, you got to watch out because the bristles come out a lot, but they're so cheap that it's kind of hard not to just use them. So just be warned, you might have to pull some bristles out of your resin if you're painting stuff on with them. Oh God, oh my God. Who's ready for Halloween? We're getting pretty excited. I took the pumpkin home and we didn't have like a lighter thing, so we couldn't even turn it on yet. Finally got one though. And so we're ready to fire that thing up. If you haven't seen that, I'm pretty proud of that project. That thing turned out, it was one of those things that I had an idea, sometimes you have an idea in your head. And I'll say this a lot. I get a lot of emails and questions from people where they had a problem with something with their casting project. And it's tough because it's not that it's rare for it to work out perfect, but a lot of times you have an idea, especially if you're doing kind of random weird stuff, like with Dunkin' junk stuff. I got to be honest, a lot of times it really is not going to necessarily work out the way you planned or what you thought. It may not be nearly as cool as you thought it was going to be. So I always try to kind of go into it knowing that, you know, it may not work out. It may not be perfect, and try to just kind of keep that in my head. And this was one of those things where I had an idea in my head, and man, it pretty much worked out how I expected. What I thought it was going to be is how it worked out. So I'm just looking at this, trying to make sure that there's no areas that are kind of being exposed here and there. And, you know, if you really wanted to get crazy with this, you could put 2 coats on and do all that, but I think this is probably good. I'm just fairly careful that I'm getting a good coating on here. I think it should help. Another thing that this will kind of do, I'm thinking, and this is a little bit more theory than anything, but what it might do is also just give the Alumilite something a little bit more to bond to. You know, hopefully the 5-minute epoxy will bond well, you know, fairly well. I find that epoxies typically do bond. They're stickier to things. So I'm hoping that the epoxy will bond pretty well off the bat. And then this, you know, we're going to be casting this fairly soon. It's not going to be like totally hardened and cured. It's going to be kind of still curing. And hopefully it'll give the Alumilite a little bit more to bond to. I might have to mix up a little bit more. This stuff's getting kind of sticky. I'm just going to mix up more. It's going to be hard to paint on. So let me stop real quick, see what you guys are up to. Yeah, I did find some, yeah, there's a lot of people that mentioned that, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant. The California Raisins for the Grapevine. You guys, I owe that one to you guys because I didn't think of it. I can't remember who exactly said it, but there was like at least 2 or 3 people that mentioned that in comments on the posts when I posted about the Grapevine. So thank you guys for that. I got right on it. Wolverine and toilet bubbles. Yeah, there's bubbles in the toilet. It was a burrito. Let's see. All right, so I don't think I'm missing anything too much here. So let me mix up just a little bit more, and then we will start putting trying to get the Grapevine pieces put in place, like glued in place in the mold, hot glued. Don't need a lot on this second one. I'm just trying to get the shoe that I didn't get too well last time. One thing that I will say, and many of you have already heard me say this, one thing that I do not recommend you use to cover stuff up, to seal things off, is CA glue or super glue. I've had really bad problems with that stuff. And one of the big problems is, you know, it cures fast, or, you know, it sets up fast, but it off gases for quite a while. And it can kind of screw up. It can make, you know, things bubble. Your castings and all that kind of stuff. So I don't recommend, you know, using that at all for this type of thing. 5-minute epoxy works a lot better because it doesn't do the off-gassing, and it's compatible with the actual stuff you're going to cast over it. Another thing with CA glue is it's a hard, brittle type of finish or product, you know, and I think that's another problem that I've seen personally with you know, sealing turning blank type applications. I think it cracks, it like shatters basically with the stresses that you put on it when you're cutting into things and it's, you know, spinning fast. So I don't really recommend doing that. And it's not beneficial at all. You can use 5-minute epoxy and it's literally ready to cast in 5 minutes. Where CA glue, you're going to have to wait at least 24 hours before you can cast anything because of that off-gassing. So it's really not even actually, there's no benefit to it whatsoever. Just to kind of mention that, people have had problems with that, with sealing things in pen you know, if you're doing a tube in, like label blanks and things like that, you can have some issues with it. Now, in some cases, that is actually the best method, but you do have to watch out for you're going to have to let them sit for a while, depending. Now, there might be a few little air bubbles and things in here. I don't know. I'm not going to really worry about it. They'd be so small that I don't think they would be noticeable in the end. But that's one thing to kind of, you know, 5-minute epoxy is, you know, it sets up so fast that you're going to kind of get some bubbles, and you kind of whip it up when you're mixing it. So just one little warning kind of thing about that. Generally, as long as you paint it on really thin, that's really not going to be that much of a problem anyway. But all right, so I think that's pretty good. I'm just going to kind of set him aside. Now let's get this camera up a little bit higher. One thing that I think a lot of people that do these kind of castings, bigger stuff, clear, anything clear, one problem we run into is like debris, dust, and junk kind of floating around in your resin. And I got to be honest, there's almost, if you have any dust in your shop, you know, it can just kind of fall in, and there's really not much you can do about it. The only things that I can do are, you know, make sure that, you know, your mold is clean, there's no dust and stuff in it. Try to, you know, wipe off the pieces that you're going to be putting in there. But, you know, it's wood, so you might get some dust and little kind of things going on with it. But, you know, you want to get it as clear as possible, but that sometimes just doesn't really work out. All right, so what I want to do here, can you guys see let's get the camera on here. Let me get the camera in closer. So there's already, like, I just blew this thing out, and there's already little debris stuff. So I think that we're going to get a few little nibs, and I already blew the pieces off too. But so this is going to be a sphere, and one of the things is I got to kind of keep in mind the edges of a sphere you're going to cut away. So most of what we want to have as much of this stuff in the middle as possible, because that's where, you know, the mass is going to be. And we definitely want to get the California Raisin guy right in smack in the middle of the blank, basically. So I pulled up, I took a photo, I was kind of playing around with this a couple days ago, and I took a picture. I got it arranged kind of how I wanted. And so I'm just going to pull up this photo real quick and see what I did. I guess that I kind of actually had it. No, I actually think I like it. Yeah, okay. Now I see what I'm doing. So again, I'm trying to get as much of the mass of this thing in the center as I can, kind of. So I think something like that, maybe. I don't know. Maybe down a little bit further. And then I can even kind of glue these pieces together a little bit. That might actually be pretty good right there. Problem is I don't want this flat piece to be like still, I want to make sure that I'm cutting that away. So getting more dust chunks. Let's see. So how did I have this thing? I had it sitting, I'm trying to recreate how I had the picture. I had it like this. And this thing was like this, maybe. There. I think that's pretty good. And then we can put our California Raisin guy kind of in the middle somehow. Maybe a little bit more tilted. There. That'll give me a good place to glue the guy on right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. got a good pad, and he can kind of go into the middle of the blank. Now I'm going to hold that in place, dump out. There was a couple little bits that kind of came off on the wood. So I like that. Let's get the hot glue gun out and hope we can kind of get this sort of stuck in place here. I'll just kind of hit it. So I got one little bit there. Try and get it down in here. I'm going to get see if I can get the camera in better. So you guys can kind of see what's going on. I'm just kind of trying to put a big blob of glue around there on the edge. Try and hold it in place. Now that's going to cause a thing on the outside of the blank, but we're going to be cutting most of that stuff away, so not really that worried. And then let's see here. I think I'm actually going to go with 5-minute epoxy and glue this piece to this piece with 5-minute epoxy. I think that'll be a lot better. I'm not seeing anywhere that I can actually mount or glue this down because there's not a flat piece on any edge. So let's mix up some more 5-minute epoxy, see what's going on here. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so the red one is it is fully stabilized. I did the full treatment on that. The purple one actually isn't fully stabilized, but I did dry it out fully, and then I submerged it. I didn't do the vacuum step, basically. I just kind of submerged it in the purple and just left it there. I didn't really find that the stabilizing did a whole lot necessarily. So, I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting test to see if there's any difference. Having, a piece that's fully stabilized and a piece that's not really stabilized fully, and at least not fully. It's somewhat stabilized. It's soaked up some resin and I baked it into it, so it's just, maybe not 100% stabilized kind of thing, Yeah, definitely no dumb questions. Ask questions. And most of the people in the chat know, you guys know just about as much as I do, so thank you guys for helping out, because I can't see all the questions. And you guys definitely help out, especially the people, especially the newbies and stuff. That there's definitely no dumb questions there. Are you kidding me? When I started, frankly, I didn't even know what question to ask. So there's definitely no dumb questions. That's for certain. Ask away. Only way you're going to find out the answers is to ask questions. The other problem that I had when I kind of started out was there wasn't a whole lot of resources out there. Not many anyway, So it's not like I could just sit there and kind of ask people questions. I had to just figure it out, do it, and see if it worked. So hopefully this will work and it won't float. That's the game plan here. Shoot. See, now this would be a really good use for UV resin, where I could just cure it. Let's see, is there any other areas? This isn't the greatest job, so I'm hoping that this thing doesn't move around. I really need this to not move around, because we need our California Raisin guy to stay in the middle. So I'm hoping, it looks like this purple, these glue spots, I think that they're holding the purple one in place pretty well. So hopefully this one will stay. A little bit precarious. We're not really getting the best glue bond on the planet with this. All right, so I'm going to let that sit for a second. Hopefully that'll be good. Resin won't really work so well to glue it to the thing. I find hot glue will work better on the bucket. That's a good one to go with. Epoxy, you know, gluing things together, that's a good way to go though, definitely. All right. Can you coat a photo with resin? Yeah, sure. And actually, if you're gonna do one resin that I tried it once, I didn't find it to be amazing, but and a lot of people kind of have said that it's a little bit softer, not the greatest for like turning applications, but if you're just trying to cover a photo, art resin is supposed to not yellow, and it's basically they invented it for covering art and photos. So I don't know, you know, you might be asking for like pens or something like that for a turning application, so that may not work. But yeah, you can basically is what I'm saying. It should work. In some cases, you may need, depending on the paper, you know, how you print it and all that kind of stuff, you may have to seal it. And you can seal things like photos or stamps or other things like that with Mod Podge. That's not a bad sealer, but again, you need to make sure that you let it cure fully before you cast on top of it. Oh man, what just happened? Oh, I just closed the YouTube. You know what? Never mind. I'm having too many problems with the YouTube app anyway, so I'll just stop and look at the chat over here. All right, so I think, let's see here. We got a hot glue strand somehow in our guy. That's weird. Okay, I think that's all right. Let's see here. Is this still sticky? Not too bad. I'll put a little bit more on his head. There's a couple spots that we're kind of peeking through with, weren't fully covered. All right. Now, his feet were a little sticky, so there's that. Probably should have let this guy dry a little bit more, but we're going to plow on through. So I'm going to put a couple of big glue beads on this guy. Now, you could use 5-minute epoxy again, I think, but I don't know. I think that it's just so much quicker and easier just to go with hot glue. I think that that's going to be a better way to go. Maybe. Oh, yeah, I really should have let this guy dry more. One tip for you guys. It's better to, oh man, this is not working out. Better to give things time to, oh no. Shoot. Probably would have been better to glue this guy on before I did anything else. Okay. That was not a good idea. He's still super sticky. Once again, oh man, I really hope that I can get UV resin to work, because that stuff, you hit it with the UV light and it's done. It's cured, right? So I'm really hoping that I can get that to work, because I'm way too impatient. I'm trying to move things along and it doesn't work that way, you know? So let's, I'm on a schedule here and I just don't have time for some of these things. So I'm going to kind of try and scrape some of this hot glue off. I really kind of screwed this up. Impatience is what screws more things up in resin casting than anything else. Wood turning as well. Sorry, guys. Oh, that was a good scrape. You know what? I got a smaller scraper that'll work better for this. Let's see what the chat's saying. Get the glitter out, actually. That's not a bad idea. I'm tempted to just cover this up and try out some of that UV resin at this point, because I don't think I could get it too much worse with that. At least my pieces appear to be, they're staying in place. So everything else has gone pretty well, I think. This might move a little bit. Dang. I might have to, it's got to be sitting on the ground somewhere, though. I might have to do something else, like put another piece of wood in here. It'll be on the outside, and you know, I can turn it away. I think I'm going to do that because I'm a little worried that this red is going to maybe float around a little bit. It's not really stuck to the bottom or the sides very well. All right, so I think this is okay. Probably won't be that noticeable in the end. Especially if we can cover that up with the Mr. Raisin. So I'm thinking, guys, maybe we'll just go for it and try out one of these UV resins to get this guy glued down with. Would have been easier also, I don't know. Would have been easier to, well, okay, it would have been easier if I would have glued him standing up like this. You learn things as you go, you know? You learn things. Hey, is Jake here? Where's Jake? Jake's here. What's up, man? How's it going, dude? That piece you just did was awesome. I loved that thing. And those pen blanks, too. Jake's been just knocking them out. I should have had Jake show me how to do this. Get over here, Jake. Show me how to make a California Raisin guy. All right, so he's still sticky. Shouldn't be a problem though, but he is definitely still sticky. So I'm gonna have to let him sit for a minute. First time on a live stream. Yeah, this one's a little bit weird. I mean, there's usually more action going on, but this takes kind of steps, and unless I do this like a cooking show and have like 2 of everything and do like each step like that, we just got to kind of sit here and wait. So in the meantime, I just try to add some tips and random musings. So welcome to the stream. A lot of people don't understand. I also post these replays because there's a lot of people that want to see the entire thing. It helps sometimes, especially I'm screwing up half of these things. This is good for you guys because then you can avoid doing all the dumb things that I'm doing on here. So the replays are good, but people don't really get it because most of my videos are just, 10, maybe 20 minutes long and edited to be a video. So if you're not into just watching stuff happen in its entirety, then live streams are terrible for you. Okay, so let's see here. Still sticky. It's like watching paint dry or epoxy dry. Don't say snow. Oh man. Yeah, the weather's really nice here. I got to be honest. I'm actually a little disappointed that we haven't gotten really. We got a couple like little storms in September, and there's some snow on the mountains, but it just all melts, evaporates, and we haven't had any all October. It's been really nice October. Just a couple days that were kind of chilly, but it's been pretty warm. So I'm hoping that November we start getting some snow, because we need some snowboarding going on. Okay, are you done yet? Nope, not really. Oh, I actually just redid the top. That's probably why. Dang it. Next time I think I'll just paint the epoxy on the guy before the stream. Make a lot more sense. There's snow in Texas? Oh my God. Send your snow this way. Send the snow this way. Why do you have snow? You can't do anything with it. It's useless. So what's next for Jake? You got any big projects coming? I can't even keep up with Doug. Doug's got something going on. He's got like 3 things going on at once. Jake's been pretty active too, so I don't know. You guys, I don't know how you do it. I don't have enough time to get all these projects done. Oh. Come on, 5-minute epoxy. It's supposed to be 5 minutes, right? What's going on here? Actually, this stuff is a little bit old, but still should be fine. Still hard to get them in there. Sideways. We're learning as we go, guys. We're learning as we go. Oh. Hopefully that'll disappear. All right, so I got him to kind of just sit there. You see him in there? So that I think this is going to go a little bit faster now. But I do think I'm actually going to use UV resin on this because I can just hit it with the light right away and it'll cure. So let's give it a shot. Let's see how this stuff works. If there's any like little problems, it's not going to be very noticeable. It ain't going to be any worse than the hot glue that I left on that grapevine piece. So let's just give it a shot. It'll be a good test. So what this is, I bought this from Solar Res. It's actually, they call it fly tie. It's for like people that make fishing lure fly things. That's kind of what it's made for. It's a urethane base. And this one's that's not even the right one. Oh my God, I almost screwed up. I bought the wrong ones already. This is what we want. We want this one. Fly tie. Thin. All right, so we're going to try that one out. I talked to the guy that like, he's like the owner, the chemist and all that stuff. He kind of recommended these for these types of applications. And so what you do is, this stuff is a little different than our casting resins or 5-minute epoxy, where you mix 2 parts and it just cures once you've added the hardener. Over some time, and it kind of heats up a little bit. Most of those resins are kind of like that. This stuff is a UV cure, so we're going to hit it with a light that is a UV light, and you can also do this in sunlight. That'll cure it, but it doesn't cure until it gets hit with UV rays. So basically, you have unlimited open time. So you can, it's not going to harden on you no matter how long it sits there until it gets hit with a specific wavelength of light. Okay, so it's kind of a different thing. Ben over at Ben's Works, he uses, it's not this one, but he uses a UV resin for his dragon eggs to kind of lay stuff down, and he's been having good luck with it. So let's just give it a shot here and see what we can do. I'm actually gonna, let's see here. I don't think you guys are seeing anything that I'm doing. So let's see if I can kind of get an angle on this thing where you can see something a little bit. It'd be helpful if I had someone else getting the camera views. Let's see here. Yeah, that ought to work a little bit. Yeah. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this stuff. And then we're just going to hit it right away with this UV light. Look at that. There's some other UV random stuff going on in here. The hot glue is UV, being lit up by the UV light. So, and that's it. Like, it's cured. Let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure that this stuff cures immediately. So I'm going to get a toothpick and just kind of poke at it, but I think that's all that's it. You know? It works great for this type of thing where, you know, you need a certain amount of time, but when you're ready to cure it, you cure it. Look at that. It's hard. Totally hard. So I'm hoping that this stuff works and it's compatible with Alumilite, that it doesn't cause any issues with that. Frankly, I'm hoping that it actually just disappears, like it doesn't even show up. You know, just basically, because epoxy, you know, we coated the Raisin guy in epoxy, and when we pour resin over it, you won't even see it. It's not like it would be even noticeable. It just blends in. So I'm hoping that we get the same exact thing with this UV stuff. It bonds well to the Alumilite, and we have no issues. Hard. Look at that. Okay, so you know what? That worked so well. I'm just going to do a little bit of a coat. Well, that might not be a good idea over the epoxy. I think this is going to work out all right. He's a little bit off center, but I don't think we're going to cut into him. Hopefully everything will work out okay. I could kind of slightly tilt the purple, but I think at this point, yeah, he's definitely off center, huh? Shoot. I think he's going to be all right, though. I don't really want to touch it. I think everything will be okay. I think we're okay. So we got everything in place at this point. Let me zoom out so you can kind of see what's going on a little bit more. I'm going to be really excited if this UV cure stuff works well, because it's going to solve a lot of issues that I have. He's a little bit off center, but I don't think we're going to cut into him in the blank when we're turning it at all. So he might be just kind of closer to like the outside wall of the blank, but I don't think we're going to have any problems. I can kind of manage it when I'm turning it if it does start to get kind of close. My hot glue goes, I know, it's crazy. Okay. He'll just lose one finger, yeah. That's funny. Yep. I'll be okay with that at this point. So I was mentioning about the pumpkin. Everything went like super smooth the way that I wanted. So we're already like, this one's going, it's a little rocky kind of, you know? Not exactly what I had in mind with some of this stuff. But, you know, again, why is that? Because I'm impatient. I'm trying to hurry through some of this stuff. So, you know, best to just take your time with most things. Here's the other thing. Now, the one thing that did kind of screw up in that pumpkin project was I didn't get that second cup centered. And the reason that I didn't is because I was rushing to get the thing in the pressure pot. I was getting all frantic. And again, like impatience, you know, hurrying, doing stuff. That's what caused that. So, you know, it's a good lesson. I mean, serious, this is like a PSA life lesson episode. That's what I'm going to title it for the replay. Life Lessons with Zach. One thing also, another little announcement, if you guys haven't heard, for you guys that are pen turners and you're on the West Coast, there's a SoCal pen turner gathering coming up, guys. It's going to be wicked awesome, okay? Going to be really cool. We don't have a ton of events on the West Coast. And so, like, this is definitely, aside from things that have happened at Turner's Warehouse in Arizona, in Phoenix, you know, this is the first, like, turning event that I've seen. Kind of anywhere near here. The AAW Symposium was a couple years ago, and that was cool, but you know, that was like one-time deal. Then it goes to the other side of the country. So definitely, it's SoCalPenTurnersGathering.com. I'm gonna go get a link for you guys. Hold on, and then we'll cast this. Let's see here. Maybe it's just on the Eventbrite thing. This is where you can get tickets. Let's see. Yeah, so here's a link. And there's some information. It's in Glendale, California, so Southern California, LA area. Gonna be pretty cool, I think. Lots of people already going. Chad Schimmel's definitely gonna be there. A bunch of other people that are vendors already going. So there's the link to where you can get tickets and find out some more. There's also a group on Facebook that, you know, they always kind of keep everybody updated on everything. Okay, so now we're going to be mixing up our resin. We're going to use Alumilite Clear Slow Set. This is not a bad this is the type of thing, like slow setting resins, not a bad project for that kind of thing, as long as you have a slow setting resin that you can pour a gigantic mass of. So, you know, I was playing around with the Stone Coat Supercast. This would be a good use for that, for me, just hands down, that would be a good use for this, just clear. Pouring it into a big bucket, that stuff can handle it. I'm not sure how big a pour. I know that Doug's pouring some pretty big stuff with Total Boat. You know, that probably would work for this. Alumilite Clear Slow Set is formulated for this, so it's a good one. Now, the one problem with Alumilite, and a lot of people, I always get this question, it has no UV inhibitors in it, so that can be kind of a drawback. You can get around that by just putting a UV coating, you know, a top coat finish on top of it, and that'll help protect it and stop it from yellowing. Also, if you don't put it in the sun, it's not going to yellow. And then on the flip side, there's a lot of things that say that they have UV inhibitors in it, and that's not that it's that doesn't mean it's not going to yellow. You know, eventually it will. It slows that happening. So just kind of want to point that out. If you're doing clear things and you need it to not yellow, you know, you can get a UV resin, or not a UV resin. You can get a resin that has UV inhibitors in it. And that will slow that process down. There are a couple that swear that it won't yellow. I don't really have too much experience with them. Art Resin is one of them. Again, most people say that that's not really a very good turning one, and it's definitely, you can't pour it in a large mass. So just a couple of other little thoughts to think about. Now, I personally like Alumilite Clear. I think it turns the best out of all of them, and you can definitely pour giant amounts. It's very clear, all that kind of stuff. So as long as you just put a top coat on it, you're fine. You know, it'll work. So we're going to go with that. So this bucket is, I did the Alumilite, they have like a calculator thing on their website. And it turned out to be about 4,000 grams of resin. It's pretty much like it's a gallon or so of resin. Do I still have that up? Yeah, it's basically, we're going to be pouring a gallon of resin. So that's half gallon of part A, half gallon of part B. You don't want to be measuring by volume though, so we're going to do it by weight. And that converted into grams, it's about, I'm going to be pouring 2,100 grams of each, you know, part. So I need a gigantic bucket. Got my bucket, and I'm going to switch to the other camera real quick here while we're doing this stuff. This is just to measure it out. One thing again, and this happened last time, I have another scale that I use sometimes, but it's battery powered, and if you don't get everything ready, like if you let it sit for a while, it shuts off. So one warning, watch if you're using a battery operated scale and you walk away for a minute, it may shut off and then you lose where you were. So just be careful about that. I'm using one that I have plugged into the wall here. That's the wrong camera. Casting view. So there we go. And for anybody that doesn't know, I guess, here's where this is the link to Illumilite. They have a calculator thing, volume calculator. So you can just put like the mold dimensions and it'll spit out like how many fluid ounces or gallons it is. And then if you want to convert it, I usually use grams because grams, it's not that it's necessarily more accurate, it's just there's more grams per, there's 28.35 or something like that grams per ounce. So it's slightly a little bit more accurate. With this much volume, whatever, ounces is fine. It's just I use grams usually. So if you want to convert it, you just multiply that fluid ounce number by 28.35 and you are good to go. All right, so we're zeroing it out. That's a lot of blah, blah, blah. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure you guys know what's going on though. There's a lot of like little weird tidbits with resin casting that, let me see something. No, that's not going to work. Okay, I think this will work fine. So 2,100 grams of part A. I'm just going to take my pump off at this point because otherwise I would be sitting here pumping forever at 30 grams a pump. So let me put down a little piece of foil over here. And actually, I think this thing will just fit into one of my regular pressure pots, my 2.5 gallon ones, so that'll be easy. Don't even have to run over to the 5 gallon and screw it all up. Whoa. Dripping. Okay. So I'm taking the pumps. Oh man, we're dripping. We're dripping, guys. We're dripping. I got it. Don't worry. Taking the pumps out of my jugs here for the minute. Just filled them up. So we are good to go. Okay. There's that one. All right. Are you ready? You guys ready yet? I think I'm gonna, sorry, don't look at the camera right now. I think I'm gonna put this thing up here and have you guys looking kind of down. I don't know. That just seems like a smarter way to do this. It's kind of upside down and weird, sorry. You get the point though. So 2,100 grams of part A. Just hope the bucket doesn't fall off my scale. One thing also to keep in mind, you got to watch your scale. Mine will go up to, oh shoot, it only goes to 3,000. All right, well, I'm going to weigh out the part A and then I have to switch to a different scale. This one only goes up to 3,000 grams and we need 4,200 in here. So I don't know why I was thinking it went to 5,000. That's not true. So watch that on your scale. I'm going to have to go get, I can measure out the part A and that's fine. But I'm going to switch to the other scale to do the part B. So 2,000, 2,100, is that what I wrote down? Yeah, 2,100. Seems like a lot. We're at 180, 18, 1,900, 2,000, 2,090, 5, 99. Okay, so we got there. We're at 2,100. I'm going to put my pump back on, the lid and all that stuff. Are we on the right camera? Yeah, okay. Gotta make sure we're on the right camera. And then I gotta go get the other scale that can handle more weight. So hold on real quick while I go do that. So like I said, we got half of it in here, and then it's fine because I'm gonna have to zero out the scale no matter what. So we didn't screw ourselves this time. So I'll be right back. One thing to mention also about this scale thing, usually the more accurate your scale is, so the lower it goes, it usually doesn't go very high. That's one of the reasons I like this scale that I use. It goes pretty low, so it goes down to a 1/10 gram, but it also goes up to 3,000 grams, which is kind of not usual. Most of them like that get really expensive. And so it's a pretty good scale. Now, if you're only going to the 1 gram accuracy level, they usually go up to, you know, higher, 5 or 10,000 grams. So I'm going to zero that out, and then I'm actually going to put a little bit of extra part B in this, just like 2105 or something like that, you know, just a little bit extra part B. And for Alumilite Clear specifically, don't do this with any other resin, just Alumilite Clear. Regular or slow set. Adding a little extra part B just ensures that it doesn't end up being a little bit part A heavy, which can have some consequences. So I'm just going to add a little tiny extra bit of part B, and we'll be good to go. So 2105. This is a lot of resin, guys. $15, $17. The other thing is I don't recommend, you know, I'm using basically the same thing as a mold, the same bucket. I do not recommend that you mix and then leave it in the same bucket. That's not a good way to go. There could be some little parts of part A or part B that are unmixed that are left over on the sides, and you don't want that. So mix it in one thing and then pour it into a mold, a different, you know, container thing. 2064. You want 2105, so we're getting close. That ought to do it. 2105 on the dot, guys. Woo! Look at that. We did it. Okay. Now, switch cameras. And oh, I forgot my little paddle mixer thing. Gotta get my mixer, and I want to blow this off too, because we don't want to put dust from the mixer thing on there. And I gotta go get my drill. Drill, baby, drill. Remember that? Oh yeah, I forgot. I didn't give my dad's battery back to him. He doesn't even know. Okay, so, and again, we're not doing anything to this. We're not going to add any dyes or anything. I want to make it clear. And that's it. Okay. Trying to get the edges of this mold kind of scraped, and the bottom. The shaft on this thing is like bent or something. It's making it kind of crazy. Never had that before. It helps to have a 2-speed drill. And actually, it's not a bad idea to put eye protection on when you're doing this. All right, I think that's probably pretty well mixed up now. So I'm just gonna put this thing over here. I'm gonna put my pump, my part B pump back in the jug where it's supposed to go. Close that off. You don't want to leave your jugs, lidless or open for too long. It's just not good. All right, let's try and get you guys in here. Now this is probably going to be a giant mess, but hopefully I'll be able to get it in there without too much problem. I'm going to go and try, this thing should be pretty well stuck in here. I see a few little dust nibs and things. I'm going to kind of blow them out with the air hose. Hopefully. Just try and get as much of that stuff out. Like I said, it's really difficult to not have any little particles in your resin when you're doing something that's totally transparent or dead clear especially. So can you guys see what I'm doing? Yeah, okay. And what you want to do is you want to pour it to the bottom. Now I got a big bucket of resin, so I just pretty much need to get this thing poured without pouring it everywhere. But you want to, get it down to the bottom and let it kind of float up. And I'm going to do this kind of slow here. There's a lot of little random crevices and things going on in the wood, or the grapevine, that I want to make sure get kind of into little cracks and crevices. And I think I'm even going to kind of pour a little bit on the surface and let it kind of seep down into some of these areas. Not a lot, just kind of pour a little thin bit on the top surface so that it can kind of work its way down in if there are a couple little cracks here and there. Okay, now I'm going to stop real quick. And I'm going to pick this thing up and just kind of work it all around. Just try and release any trapped air pocket areas or coat things as well as I can. And then we'll keep going here. Add a little bit more, and then I'm going to do that again where we kind of move it around. Just try and kind of make sure that we're getting it all over the place. Not really trapping any air, if possible. Gotta get a grip on my bucket here. Jeez. And then finish her off. Maybe could have added a little bit more resin, but it's okay. Just gonna let this kind of drip as much as possible. I might even actually scrape out the sides of this and try and just get as much. I don't know. I go two ways on scraping the sides of your cups, because if there are any unmixed parts, you're going to scrape them off and stick it in your blank. So that's kind of a bad thing, but it also is leaving a good amount on the edge. So as long as you've mixed it well, you could scrape it. I don't think I'm going to mess with it. I don't think it's going to change that much. Okay. So I'm going to just, I guess I'll scoot this over. Try and give you guys a shot. You can't really see a whole lot. There's a bunch of air bubbles. But It's already starting to kind of warm up a little bit. I can't really move it too much, but looks like we got some air bubbles. This is the piece that's coming from that purple one that wasn't fully stabilized. So there might be some air in there that we didn't get out, but, or maybe even some moisture, but you know, what are you going to do? Oh, well. Couple air bubbles, not really that big of a deal, but that's why we stabilize, is to hopefully get rid of those. It's probably like a super extreme close-up. Sorry. Now I'm going to take this over. Hopefully this will fit. Yeah, fits perfect in my pressure pot. And we're going to take it up to 70 psi. I didn't see the wood floating, the red one especially. It didn't look like it was moving around. Now that's not to say that it's not gonna ever, you know, while it's under pressure. But one of the nice things, another reason why I like using Alumilite rather than a slow setting resin, you know, the advantage to a slow resin is you have more working time. So you don't have to kind of like hurry around and get it in the pressure pot right away. But the advantage to fast setting stuff in this case is, you know, in probably about 15 to 20 minutes, it's going to be hardened. So like stuff isn't going to be moving around. But if you're using a 45-minute working time resin, then, you know, you can pour it and it has 45 minutes to move around on you while it's in there. Another good use for this is, you know, color swirl stuff. It'll kind of keep things locked in place, and like glitters and stuff. Now you can wait till the end of the working time with you know, a slow setting resin, but I don't know. I like this better because I got 12 minutes, and as long as it's not going to be an extreme rush to get everything done, you know, I can get it, you know, mixed, poured, put it in there, and then I can pull this thing out in 2 hours. So the other ones are going to be like kind of an overnight type deal. So anyway, I would have tripped and had a resin floor. Well, you know what I want to do is actually, I'm thinking about adding an epoxy floor. So one of these days, maybe I'll do that. I don't think I'll be using Alumilite resin because that's a little bit more expensive than floor epoxy, but anyway, Matt, I would highly recommend not watching the live streams if you don't like long form videos. That's what they are. They're going to be long form. So just watch the regular ones. If it doesn't say, you know, live stream episode whatever, you know, they're going to be good. But you can look and see how long the videos are. But the live ones, if you don't like live stuff and long ones, I wouldn't come. Not to say that I want you to leave, but it's just it's a long form type deal. So anyway, let's see here. Set up bleachers. I don't think live studio audience. That's not a good one. That would be terrible. I'd be even worse probably. Although I've done demos and stuff, and it's pretty fun actually having people there. So 2 hours. You don't want to wait 2 hours. Yeah, I hear you. The problem is the super fast setting resins, those things are going to overheat for sure. So you can't really use those. That's why I like Alumilite Clear Slow Set. It is kind of the perfect balance because, you know, as long as it's not hot in your shop, you got a pretty good amount of working time. There's not too many things that really require much more than, you know, 12 to 15 minutes of working time. I find that you're just kind of waiting around if it's 30 or 45 minutes or longer. And you get it out of the pressure pot pretty quick. The slow set stuff, even for something that's like a single pen blank size, you can pull it in about 4 hours, which is pretty good. Most of the other ones are, you know, 9 hours minimum in the pressure pot. Small amounts of slow setting resin, you know, 24 hours sometimes. So I like it. It's a pretty good resin. It turns well. So I think I would say the only drawback to Alumilite Clear Slow Set is it doesn't have any UV protection, yellowing, anti-yellowing thing in it. However, because it doesn't have that, it also is probably one of the least toxic resins on the market. So it's, you know, that's the problem is everybody kind of likes specific resins for certain characteristics, and it's kind of up to you to pick which one has the most characteristics that you like. So Anyway, but I appreciate everybody joining the fun today. I know it was a little bit kind of hectic, slow. It was another one of those things where you got to kind of sit and wait and then everything just kind of happens at once. But that's kind of how resin casting is a lot of times, you know. Especially, you know, when you're doing like color swirl blanks, a lot of times you got to kind of wait till the end and then just move real quick, you know, regardless of which resin you're using. But anyway, so we have those UV resins now, and I want to mess around with that at some point. What I think I'm probably going to do with those is test them a couple times on my own, just make a few blanks real quick. That way I've at least seen how they work and know what to expect, and then we can kind of do some more, you know, examples, tests with different ones. So we'll be doing that one of these days. I got a couple boxes from, let's see, Frank sent me a box of all kinds of crazy stuff. He's like, hey, you know, and I don't even know what's all in there, but I got a big, like one of those like large, you know, flat rate boxes from him. That's going to be all kinds of crazy fun stuff that we can dunk. And then I also got Tagua nuts, and who sent that to me? I can't remember. Steve sent me, I'm pretty sure it was Steve, sent me Tagua nuts, which those are like the Hawaiian necklace, those kind of brown nut things. And so I've been kind of meaning to play with those. So it was really cool that he's like, hey, I have some, do you want to send them out? So that's another thing on the list. And man, I don't even know what. So lots of fun stuff coming up for the live stream. And again, if you're a patron of the show, if you're a Patreon member of the show, we're going to be firing up. I'm trying to figure out when the best time to start these things is, but we're going to do these kind of live. It'll be exclusive to just patrons. And I'm going to swap out. It'll probably be like, you know, it'll be like the first Friday of the month or something like that. And so it's going to be swapped out with one of my normal live streams here on YouTube. So if you think you would be interested in that, getting into the Q&A type stuff, head over to my Patreon page, patreon.com/nvwoodworks. Very small group of people there, so it's going to be kind of like a full Q&A kind of thing. I'll be doing some like demos and just kind of helping out the patrons if they have questions or want to see something. So it'll be very audience specific, you know, just I'm kind of there to help you guys. So something a little bit different, a little extra for anybody that wants some more content. And I do apologize to you guys on YouTube who are not patrons. It's going to swap out with one of the weeks, but I can't add all these different things all week. I got to focus on, you know, getting my products made and sold first. So, but it'll be kind of something fun for the patrons, and I hope you guys might think about, you know, like I said, if you would be interested in that, head over to my Patreon page, trying to fire that up and kind of start the community over there as well. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the evening. Let me stop real quick. I've been talking all kinds of whatever, and let's see here. So let me see what's happening. I did pressurize that, right? Yeah. That's one of the things that I do on this stream sometimes. Let's see here. Just making sure I'm not missing any questions and stuff. I got a few minutes here. That was kind of a quick one today. So one big blank. That's usually kind of a quick one on the stream. Let's see here. Oh man, the thing moved. Yeah, I know. It is cheaper for you, Jamie. Well, maybe. It depends. I don't know. I haven't actually priced it out yet on Patreon, but anyway. Kalamazoo? You're from Kalamazoo? Wait, what did I miss? That's where Alumilite is, right? Yeah, Kalamazoo. That's cool. Cool. Anyway, I don't think I missed anything. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the evening. Have a great weekend. Again, make sure if you haven't seen the pumpkin video, I'm really proud of that one. So make sure to check that one out. I made a resin cast pumpkin and did some carving on it. It was a really fun project. And with Halloween coming up, I definitely appreciate it if you checked it out, shared it with your friends, because it was, like I said, kind of proud of that one. So make sure you check that one out. And then the next project on my, just regular video, I'm going to be doing a wall clock, a saw blade wall clock, and I'm going to do some resin art and all this kind of good stuff. So it should be kind of a fun, quick project. So anyway, guys, I will talk to you on next Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Like I said, we got lots of goodies in the shop to dunk, so I'll have to kind of figure out what's ready to go, and we'll have some more fun doing some experiments. I can't wait to get this thing demolded, and so I'm probably going to be leaving the shop before I demold it, so be looking for pics tomorrow on Instagram and Facebook. So anyway, guys, have a great night, and I will see you next Friday.